Hello everybody, my name is the Watching Relic, and in this video we're going to be doing a review of Veccor, the Black Death. Now, this is a review of his minorly updated form. I never did a review of his original build from, I guess, a few months back, and not really much has changed, so I'm not gonna, worry about it at all. This is, for all intents and purposes, the one and only video review for this MOC. As you can see, I have my white background. I'm not doing the red one that I used in the slideshow, just because, the slideshows are really meant to be, something to really showcase the MOCs and to make them look as good as they can, whereas the reviews are supposed to be more of an honest and in-depth look at the MOCs, and the white background, especially for a black MOC, is just a better way of doing it. Also, the red background is a little bit tricky to make look good. Let me just remove his mace. Alright, so the feet are just big ol' Paraka feet, but I think they do work just fine for this MOC. Since the MOC is very large, they are pretty proportional. And just moving straight up to the lower legs, which I guess there's the lower and then the mid and then the upper because he has triple bent legs. And in general, I really like the exaggerated proportions of this MOC. I got quite a few comments about this, actually, and I'm glad people really noticed it and appreciated it. And yeah, so he has pretty bulky, standard-looking thighs and calves, but then that sort of, third triple bent section of the leg is just this unarmored CCBS bone. And, it's extreme. It's very, very skinny down there, but it looks really good in my opinion. It has a really nice, just kind of tapering as you go down the leg, and that's really what I was going for. Now, I could use at least, maybe just a little, size 3 or size 4 little CCBS shell, but honestly, this is just the way I wanted the legs to look. This is exactly what I had envisioned originally when I was first building this guy, were these really kind of drastic, extreme proportions, and I think it turned out pretty good. Taking a closer look at the build of the rest of the leg, as you can see from the side, it is a little gappy, but it's not too bad. It's pretty dense with Technic pieces, and from most angles it looks fine. This section of the leg looks really nice with the little scroll armor. Good shaping, nothing too much going on, just a lot of half-thickness lift arms of all shapes and sizes. And then the thighs, the upper legs, are very, very chunky, very beefy. We have the star foot on the front, which looks pretty good. And then if I move up the camera real quick, you can see his hip armor. I got a comment saying that these pieces looked a little bit weird, or just a little bit off, and I can definitely see how someone would have that opinion. I like them because they really smooth the transition between the torso and the legs, and I like putting pieces on the hips to do that specifically on a lot of my MOCs. You'll definitely probably be seeing that as a pattern in my builds. And, they are very, very curvy, and I could see how someone wouldn't like them, but that's really why they're there, is to just smooth that transition of the hips. One little change from his original form is he has more covering on the back. Oh dear. But anyway, getting back to what I was just saying, he now has this Hordika Wenua headpiece on his butt. That wasn't there before. And then he also has these Stronius armor pieces on the backs of his thighs. Definitely helps to just fill out the back of the MOC a little bit more. But in general, yeah, the legs are really chunky, really nice looking, and I know these pieces are a little bit goofy, but they're there for a reason, and I think they really just help to, again, smooth the transition of the legs to the body, or to the torso. Moving on up to the torso, this is an interesting part of the MOC for me, because I have some mixed feelings, and they really all revolve around this huge CCBS chest plate. It looks fine. There's nothing wrong with it. It looks great, in fact. It has a wonderful shape to the torso. It just tapers out in this great V shape, which is exactly what you want with a male torso anyway. And there's all these little barb or spike pieces used here along the torso, and even some little minifigure arms with the elbow bend kind of mirroring that same sort of curved shape, and it really makes for just this nice look. I mean, you got these little barbs here, then 2 more barbs, and then the ones in here with the minifigure arms. That just looks really good even from the side. It's very, very filled in, very, very nice. There's no gaps with the torso, unlike the legs. The torso is completely covered up from all angles. But I don't know, this huge, blank, undetailed looking piece, it kind of bugs me. And, you know, maybe I just need to, like, add some greebling off of these little connection points. I need to come up with some design to do there. As it is, I think I'm just going to keep it how it is. I don't think I'm going to really bother to change it anytime soon. I think it's fine. I need to just stop worrying about it. The torso looks absolutely fine. The back, we have a big Stronius piece, which looks pretty good, and also these big CCBS armor pieces and a chest plate in there, and a couple of these like 1.0 villain armor pieces up over his shoulders. Again, very filled in. There's no gaps up at the top of the torso either. And one of his fingers fell off. That is great. But anyway, back to what I was talking about. I mentioned earlier in the video, I think, that the torso is fairly hollow. And let me just pop off this armor piece so you can actually kind of see that. As you can see, I mean, like, it's not that hollow. Like, it's still pretty dense with Technic stuff, but if you really take off all the armor, which I'm not going to do here, I just am going to take off the chest plate, but, I mean, you will see that it's not like not every nook and cranny is filled. Like, it's only filled with, like, a reasonable amount of Technic, like the amount of Technic you actually need for the way it looks. I didn't bother to put in, or fill in every single hollow area. Like, mainly just the huge cavity inside of this piece is completely hollow when it's actually on the MOC, and I'm just going to cut for a second while I reattach this. So yes, that is the torso. In conclusion, I think the shaping is really nice. I have mixed feelings about the chest plate, but again, it's really just, I need to get over it. It's not as big of a deal as I think I kind of make it out to be. So, let's move on to the arms. They are simple as all heck. You can tell how the hands are built. You can tell how all this is built. There's a little greeble in there, but it's whatever. You know, they're just CCBS. As usual, I cop out at the arms. No, actually, it's not a cop-out. It's genuinely me being exhausted at the end of building a MOC. The one little design in the arm that's actually something I want to talk about, because I think it's kind of interesting, is this right here. This is just a friction connection, and it's a pretty funny story on how I discovered it. I was making this guy, and in fact, it wasn't this guy. I've used this design before. This was a long time ago with a different MOC. I was building a different MOC, and I had this exact thing going on. I had like a size 6 piece, I think this is, on one of the bone pieces with the 2 pinholes. And I was thinking, man, I don't have much Technic around to greeble this with, or at least not any that I want to waste on just greebling. I wish I could take another CCBS armor and just... And it just snapped into place. And so that's kind of funny. I literally just was like, man, I wish this could go together. I'm like, oh, it goes together. Who knew? So, yeah, if you want to use that, go ahead. You don't even have to give me credit or anything. I don't care. It's not really that incredible of a design. It's just a fun little thing, and it's kind of easy if you, again, don't have like any pieces to greeble with or any pieces that you want to waste on just greebling. That could really help some people out, I'm sure. So moving on to the last part of the MOC, and that is the head. So it's a backwards Tuma head, and it's not even on a Glatorian skull or anything. It's literally just that. That's it. I didn't want to have any translucent brain stock or anything inside the head. I just wanted every part of this MOC to be black besides a few tiny little pins and things and the T-pieces on the hands. That's like it. And that is one thing I would like to quickly just mention before this video is over. He is monocolor. He is a large Titan MOC, and he is one color. And yes, that color is black, and yes, that is definitely the easiest color to make a MOC monocolor with, but still, because he is so large, I think that it's kind of a cool thing. I've never done a MOC that's monocolor that's not just like an Anika build, you know, from 5 years back before. Like, this is the first time I've really done this in a serious way. And I think it turned out great. I'm so happy that I didn't cave and add other colors to the MOC. I think that this is just really cool. And it plays into his name as well. Veccor the Black Death, which is very ominous. And yes, he is the main villain of my story, which I don't know when and how I'll actually get my story out to all of you guys, but I hope that I will at some point. But yeah, so backwards to my head, not too much to say about it. These aren't supposed to be his eyes or anything. He's supposed to have like a blank face, or at least that was the idea. These things up here aren't supposed to be his eyes. He's not Cyclops. It's just none of that. Just blank face with a couple weird bat ear horn things or whatever those are. So before I go, let me just, as usual, last minute kind of look at the weapon. Not too much going on there at all. Just, you know, maceness. And then as usual, let me just zoom out here. You can kind of see the sides of my light box, but oh well. We got to end out with a little tradition. We got to get the minifigures, which you won't be able to see because they're on the ground, and we got to get Mr. Gresh. Yes, Veccor is very tall. But anyway, that's a green dude for size comparison. That is Veccor. I am the Watching Relic, and I will see you all next time.